How you doing? That's pretty brief, wasn't it?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
You got in the high points. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, Dell. Thank you, Councilmember Carlson. Really appreciate this invitation and the opportunity to talk a little about the Rays' future. I also want to acknowledge that there are many fans who aren't interested in engaging around the future of the team right now, and just to say that that's okay, and I respect that. However, having been invited here to discuss our vision for the future, I will be speaking about that today. It's a tricky thing to try to balance the magic of a postseason run with the urgency and importance around our situation. I know we haven't always done it perfectly. All I can tell you is that we're going to keep trying to do our best. So with that caveat out of the way, let me say, first and foremost, the mission of the Tampa Bay Rays and Rowdies is to energize the community through the magic of Rays baseball and Rowdies soccer. And so I'm going to begin with the teams, and I just want to quickly reference that your Tampa Bay Rowdies are in first place right now and also coming off a championship season a year ago, having performed extraordinarily well. Thank you. The Rays, miraculously, are doing even better. We have the best record in the American League this morning. We have clinched home field advantage through the American League playoffs. We've made 7 postseason appearances since 2008, 3 in a row, by the way, and we have either the 3rd or the 4th most wins in all of Major League Baseball since 2008. An absolutely extraordinary run that I couldn't be more proud of. I got here in 2005. Kay was there, by the way. And if you had told me at that time that the Rays would have a record like this over this extended period of time, I would have told you it was impossible. What Kevin Cash and Eric Leander and our baseball operations staff, coaching staff, and players do year in and year out is nothing short of incredible. Of course, we do it with the fewest resources in the sport. We are creative, we are innovative, and we know how to get the most out of a team better than anyone else. I won't bore you with the details of how we run our business, but I do want to hit a few high notes. We are universally recognized as great corporate partners. We are deeply invested in this community. We are recognized annually for our affordability, our promotions, and more. We put over $50 million into Tropicana Field. It's old, but it's our home, and in 2021, it is as nice a place to watch baseball as it has ever been. But of course, one of the reasons that I'm here today is that our challenges around attendance have been well documented. We've been studying the issue for years, and there's not a simple answer. The data does tell a story, however, and it's one that I want to share. We have fewer people and businesses within a 30-minute driving radius of Tropicana Field than any other team in Major League Baseball, and it's not even close. Had we been able to relocate to Tampa, as our Ybor City proposal from a few years ago contemplated, those numbers improved significantly, but would still be near the bottom of the league. There is an enormity to Major League Baseball that simply doesn't apply to the other sports. We need 35,000 people, 81 times a year, night after night after night, weekends and weeknights. And of course, there is no salary cap. Major League Baseball is not in the markets that we compare ourselves to. Indeed, over the years, the Tampa and St. Pete Chambers have taken benchmarking trips to places like Raleigh-Durham, Charlotte, Portland, Columbus, Nashville, all phenomenal cities, none with Major League Baseball. That's because MLB requires the very biggest cities with the most dense and highly populated communities. And that's fine. It's just not who we are, and it's not even who we want to be. Tampa Bay is an entrepreneurial region. We are not dominated by Fortune 500 companies. We are a variety of beautiful, eclectic communities. St. Pete, Tampa, Clearwater, Lakeland, Sarasota, so many more. Separated by our beautiful bay, connected by our bridges. We are not a suburban metropolis like Atlanta or Dallas or Phoenix. We have incredible weather year-round, but many people travel during the hotter months. I'm sure you can imagine the number of people who have said to me, we would buy season tickets, but my family goes to North Carolina or Utah or Canada in July every year. In fact, over the years, we've heard from our fans dozens of reasons for our attendance challenges, but a concise summary might be, baseball doesn't belong in a dome, it's supposed to be played on natural grass outdoors, and there's too many games. Plus, in the summer here, a lot of people leave town. So that leads us to where we are today. We spent 3 years working to build a full season dome ballpark in Ybor City, but it became apparent that the funding simply wasn't there. Not from the team, nor from the public side. In its most basic sense, after we evaluated what kind of corporate support we were likely to receive, after we worked hand in hand with city and county officials to understand financing options, it was clear that there was simply not a way to rationalize building a roughly $1 billion stadium for either the team or the local municipalities. In order to reach an agreement that might be satisfactory to both sides, we had to figure out a way to dramatically improve the Rays' revenue picture and to reduce the necessary public contribution. We couldn't find a way through, and it was depressing. I had no idea how we were going to be able to keep the Rays in Tampa Bay, given the many challenges we faced. That is until we started thinking seriously about the concept and possibility of a sister city relationship with Montreal. So let me talk about Montreal for just a minute, because it's ideally suited for this plan. The weather up there is a perfect complement to ours. We all know about the affinity that already exists between Canadians and the state of Florida. Montreal is in the same time zone as we are, so all the home games will be on TV at the proper time, and it eliminates travel concerns for American League East opponents. The possibilities around artistic, culinary, arts, cultural, and business connections are next to limitless. And finally, they absolutely love baseball, and they appreciate what it's like to be a caring fan base that has attendance challenges due to the fact that they're just not quite big enough. Now let me talk about how the sister city plan might work. I'll begin with the revenue part of the equation. If we can successfully execute this idea, the Rays just may be able to add another television deal for the Canadian market, dramatically increase our sponsorship revenues. In fact, many of our current sponsors have said they keep their budgets the same despite having fewer games, they just buy more assets. By adding another similar market, we're confident we can put the same numbers together we generate in Tampa Bay, effectively doubling that base. We may be able to double our attendance, perhaps even better. The vast majority of our fans go to between 1 and 3 games each year. If we can get those fans to come to the same number of games at a new, outdoor, state-of-the-art facility, and we do that same thing in Montreal, we will have doubled our attendance, coming to 4 out of 40 games versus 8 out of 80. And now let's look at the public support part of the equation. First and foremost, eliminating the need for a roof knocks millions, hundreds of millions of dollars off the cost of the project. We could conceivably build 2 outdoor ballparks for around the same price the Texas Rangers spent on their retractable roof stadium in Arlington, where we happened to play in the World Series a year ago. Perhaps too, when we think about the possibilities around spring training, and the powerful tendency of Canadians to visit Florida that already exists, it will be a pretty compelling economic story to tell about direct economic impact. And when you consider that the Rowdies will also use it, that we can bring back the Enchant Christmas Lights show, which brought over 350,000 people to Tropicana Field in 2019, and is back this year, by the way, and that we have repeatedly said that we are committed to the facility being open and available 365 days a year, programmed with concerts, festivals, graduations, the orchestra, international soccer matches, and anything else this community desires, well, there's a pretty good story to tell there too. As one public official told me after we discussed this idea, it sounds like we may be able to get significantly more economic impact at a significantly lower cost to the public. And indeed, that is exactly what we're trying to do here. And now let's talk about the fans. I understand we are asking our fans to digest a new, a difficult, and a unique concept. That change and uncertainty are always hard, but this can be great for our fans. Number one, we will finally secure the future of Tampa Bay Rays in this market for future generations. Number two, you'll have the opportunity to attend up to 40 games and spring training every year. Again, as a reminder, almost all of our fans come to 3 or fewer games. Number three, we will continue to be on television every single time we play. For all those who follow our team primarily through TV and radio, that will still be 100% available. And let me take this moment to note that last year, in 2020, not one fan was able to attend a game in person. And yet our World Series run and our participation in Tampa Bay impacted this community as much as we ever have. I can't tell you the number of direct messages, emails, calls that we received thanking us for what we were doing for this community during that pandemic. Number four, we're doing this to be a more competitive team for the long run, to continue to be able to challenge for the division title every single year, and to be able to do so with a higher payroll. And finally, with that higher payroll, we will make the postseason more often, and we will split postseason series equitably and fairly between the 2 sister cities. This is why we're asking everyone to keep an open mind. When you look at the over 20 years of data we have at Tropicana Field, when you look at the demographics of the region, the distances that separate our many wonderful cities, when you ask the hard questions, well, we've concluded that it is next to impossible that full season baseball can succeed in Tampa Bay today. We're not missing by a few thousand people a night. We are at less than half of where we need to be with an absolutely incredible team. The Sister City plan deserves the chance to be heard by open minds, and we know that we have to make our case. and to do so with community partners vested in keeping Major League Baseball in this region for generations. I'm here today because I love this community. Many of you know me. You know my family. You know we love it here. The same is true of our hundreds of employees and of our owner. We've spent 17 years turning the Rays into a local treasure, building a fan base into something of which we can be so proud. As we've used the power of innovation, analysis, and creativity to revolutionize the game of baseball and succeeded in ways beyond what anyone thought was possible, we're seeking again to harness the power of a fresh, new concept to keep Major League Baseball in Tampa Bay for future generations. One final thing of note, there are still great seats available for the American League Division Series. We know that we're hosting it. We don't know who's coming yet. We need Rays fans in that building. Let's sell the thing out. RaysBaseball.com, please.